Asia Bibi, a Pakistani Christian woman who spent 8 years on death row in Pakistan for allegedly making insulting remarks about Islam and the Prophet Muhammad, is now in Canada. RT correspondent John Huddy has more on this story. Thanks for joining us, John.
You're welcome. Good to be with you.
Okay, so we've been following this story almost for the past few weeks on this, the past few months. When did Asia Bibi leave Pakistan, and will she finally be saved from those who really wanted to murder her?
Yeah, they're both good. It's a good question. First of all, Bibi's lawyer said that she arrived safe and sound in Canada this week after leaving Pakistan, where her life had been in danger. She was, just to give you the background here, she was convicted in 2010 and sentenced to hang after accused of insulting Islam and the Prophet Muhammad during an argument with fellow farm workers after they refused to drink from the same water bucket that Bibi, a Christian, had touched. So that said, she spent 8 years on Pakistan's death row before last year Pakistan's Supreme Court overturned her conviction and death sentence, a decision that sparked widespread protests and riots across the country among those who still called for her death nonetheless. And since then, she'd been living, Scotty, in safe houses and separated from her family of 5 children, all of whom had already left and gone to Canada before she arrived there this week. British Foreign Secretary Jeremy Hunt tweeted this today. He said, "Fantastic news that Asia Bibi appears to have left Pakistan safely. We now know she did. About to meet with Justin Welby, who's the Archbishop of Canterbury, and Secretary Pompeo, Mike Pompeo, of course, to talk about the persecution of Christians around the world. This shows that with concerted effort, the right thing can happen." Pakistan's Christians, by the way, make up only about 1.6% of the country's population of roughly about a little more than 200 million. So Bibi's case really highlighted the persecution of Christians there and in other parts of the world. So will she ever be safe? That, at this point remains to be seen. But she certainly is now, definitely with her family in Canada, Scotty.
Well, that is good news for her. Now, I want to go back to speaking of the persecution of Christians. Let's talk about that. Yeah. There was the devastating Easter Sunday bombing in Sri Lanka and the ongoing fallout that's gone back and forth from that. There's more news from the government there about its response. Am I correct in this?
Yes. So the government has expelled around 600 foreign nationals in Sri Lanka, including 200 Muslim clerics said to have overstayed their visas. Sri Lanka's Minister of Home Affairs said it's part of a broader push basically to tighten immigration control, saying in part that there are religious institutions which have been getting in, he said, foreign preachers for decades. We have no issue with them, he said, but there are some which mushroomed recently, and he went on to say that we will pay more attention to them. Speaking of that bombing, more than 250 people were killed and 500 injured during the series of suicide bombings in Sri Lanka in the capital of Colombo on August 21st. ISIS claimed responsibility, but investigators have since said that the bombers were Sri Lankan and worked without direct guidance from ISIS. And sadly, one of those injured in the attacks, an American woman who worked for the Commerce Department, Chelsea Dikamanata, has died. We know that because that was confirmed today, Scotty, by the U.S. Ambassador to Sri Lanka, Alina Teplitz, who confirmed Dikamanata's death today. So that death toll has gone up again.
Well, this is a very sad tragedy, but it's highlighting some of the plight of Christians around the world today, and it's good to see some world leaders stepping up and deciding that they have a problem and need to take responsibility. Thank you for covering this.
You're welcome.
Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out our channel. We hope you enjoyed the video. We have tons of content for you just like this. For more of RT America's one-of-a-kind news and analysis, be sure to subscribe and never stop questioning more.